There is some sense of victory and vindication following the decision by Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin on Monday. There have been cries and condemnation from every sector for the criminal investigation of Elvin Penner. Well, every sector except that occupied by his colleagues in political power. But the charges for which Penner could face criminal action are summary offenses with a statute of limitation of 6 months. Attorney Audrey Matura Shepherd has been following the case for mandamus and broke it down for us.
It's not just a symbolic victory. Remember, there are 2 statute of limitations that have been affected. One that ended yesterday, the 3rd of March, and one that will end on the 9th of March. 2 of them. So the one yesterday, maybe that is a loss in that if you did not press charges by that date, then you can't press charges again. And the one for 9th of March, you cannot make that lapse because then you will never be able to press charges. I do believe that between Monday and the 9th of March, there's sufficient time to conduct an investigation and bring evidence, enough evidence on which to base a charge. Remember, the police can always start your investigation, have enough on which to arrest you and charge you, and continue the investigation to shore up and build up that case. So I don't think that one is lost. To begin with, we should have never had to reach the point where you have to go and beg the court or plead to the court, please tell this officer, this official, this high-ranking official, do his job. People have to understand the magnitude of this matter, you know. No matter how the investigation ends up, it's a victory for the democracy of this country, where a court was bold enough to make that decision.
Matura Shepherd says the police should have been conducting an investigation before now, and the fact that they haven't is cause for concern about how determined they are to get to the bottom of the passport and immigration corruption.
I believe that at this point there was sufficient on which to base a charge, but that didn't happen. And to me that shows bad faith. And the only worry is then if that was your act, knowing that there was a limitation that was going to lapse. I am wondering, as we speak, how diligently is the police force working to bring about sufficient evidence to prefer a charge against Mr. Penner by the 9th of March. Now that is where we need to question how things will be done.
There has been one immediate and notable casualty in this matter. If not substantively, then definitely in the court of public perception. Commissioner of Police Alan Wiley is a 27-year veteran of the force, but he has gotten a black eye for what seems to be deliberate reticence in carrying out a serious investigation. Very likely, he did so at the behest of higher political powers, but he has been the man under fire so far.
I went in court and I was listening to the arguments, and I looked over and I saw the Commissioner of Police sitting there alone. Alone. And all I could think about is that he's a professional. I know him. I always held him in high esteem and expected a certain form of conduct with him as an attorney, having interacted with him. I know that he's very much aware and abreast of the law, and he's always acted, in my personal opinion, dealing with him in a very professional way. So it amazed me that he would then allow anyone to undermine his power and to give in to that kind of pressure. And I would hope that he would speak openly as to what really happened. I won't preempt their action other than to say that if they fail, that combined with the indictment against the Commissioner of Police, the next move has to be that this nation calls for his removal and resignation, because you have compromised yourself in office. I mean, the judge said clearly that you acted unlawfully, improperly, unreasonable in executing your duty, and I think that would be basis to remove the Commissioner of Police.
If there is an order of the court and there is evidence that the order was disobeyed, then that, according to Matura, would amount to nothing less than a serious contempt of court. Mike Rodon for News 5.